Welcome to From Mess to Message, A Journey to Purpose. I'm your host, Winfield Sargent. Today I'm over the moon. We have I call her my work wife. I call her my right hand, left hand, round hand, all about hand. We have author, momager, entrepreneur, and MBA graduate, Keba Cario. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, like I said, we're so honored because you're honored. You're such a awesome woman.
Thank
You're
you.
such an awesome woman, and to have you come on for one of our very first shows, I'm over the moon.
I just want to say I'm proud of you and congratulations on this show.
Oh, God is good.
Yeah.
God is good. So tell us a little bit about Keba Cario.
Okay, so Keba Cairo is the middle child of 5 children, right? Idolized my older brother growing up, and I hung out with him and his friends a lot. Keba Cairo grew up with a lot of aggression because I hung out with the guys. You know, being a girl amongst guys, you had to hold your own.
Yes.
So I grew up just kind of like fighting for everything that I wanted. But that is a good and a bad thing, right? Because those same intentions went into other areas of my life as I grew up, right? Now that I became a mom and a wife, all of these things, now you had to put some of those aggressions and some of those intimidations away because I didn't necessarily consider myself to be a bully, right? Because bullies are people who take money off the playground and beat people up, and I wasn't doing that. So I didn't consider myself to be a bully, but at the same token, I realized after having children that some of my behaviors were bully-like. So Keba Cairo is this person now on a mission to be an advocate for children, right? Teaching them, educating, and inspiring them on their life's journey, especially how to deal with different safety aspects. And that's what kind of got me to this point right now.
Yes, and so that's what got you to writing this awesome book.
Yes.
Don't snooze on clues. So, you did say that you dealt with some bullying. You were a little bully yourself when you were younger.
Right.
But tell us about when you got older and what inspired you to actually write this book.
Right. So, as I mentioned, I had children.
And how many kids do you have?
I have 2, Jade and Ethan.
And how old are they?
Ethan is 11 and Jade is 7.
Okay.
So when Ethan was around 6 years old, the Sandy Hook incident happened where someone went into the schools and shot over 20 children. And that was a very hard time for him to go back to school. He was younger then, and I had to open up all of these discussions, all of these conversations that I thought were a little advanced for him. But it's happening. So you have to bring the children to that awareness of what's happening and how you deal with it. And it just started generating that kind of conversation at the time. I had recently got let go from my job as a consultant with the MTA because at the time they were crunching down and they were cutting all the consultants. And at that time, I was at home with a pregnancy with my daughter because she wasn't born yet. And I was looking for something to do. And so that conversation, I figured, well, if I had to have this conversation with my son, other parents had to have this conversation.
Yes.
And I have a history, a background in community outreach, working for Department of Health, working for the MTA. And so community outreach is just kind of my thing.
Yeah,
That's
second
what
nature.
second nature.
Yes,
So I'm
yes.
just like, why not educate the rest of the population, right? So I decided to go on this journey of writing Don't Snooze on Clues. Don't Snooze on Clues is just the first of a series of books because I plan on doing other educational safety material so that children are aware and that they know what to do if things like these arrive.
How were you able to explain to your kids, because we were talking about the Sandy Hook incident. How were you able to explain to your kids about Sandy Hook? And I know that they were probably fearful. How were you able to kind of calm them down and not have them worried that this thing might happen to you, happen to them? You know, in the time that we're living with so many things happening, how do you explain that to a child?
You know, it's very hard, especially because you have to tailor your conversation based on their age,
Yes.
right? But I feel like knowledge is a kid's best weapon. If they know what to do, they're empowered. If they know, if this scenario happens, oh, I remember my mom told me what to do. I remember this is the thing that I do with my own kids.
Yes.
And the way I operate is that whatever I do, say, teach to my own children, I feel like it's the same thing that I want to tell other people's children because a lot of times parents are so busy going to work, with all the different things that we have on our plates, that the kids sometimes get lost in the shuffle. And being that middle child, I've always been lost in the shuffle,
Yes.
right? So I kind of relate to those children so much more. I just want to be able to empower them and teach them. So that's the route that I take. I try to educate them and I say, look, if this happens, what do you think you're going to do? How would you feel if this happens? Who would you call? What access do they have? So I try to be as open as I possibly can. And I try to give them various scenarios. And the thing with kids is that once you start allowing them to have fun with it,
Yes.
they don't see it as you lecturing them, because you have to create this line of you're lecturing them, because remember, we're talking to them every day: clean your room, do the dishes, take the garbage out.
Yes.
So they kind of put up this barrier, this wall for hearing our mouths. So I try to make it as fun as possible, and we reenact things sometimes in the house. And I tell them, well, if someone came to the door and I'm outside banging on the door, and I'll say, well, what would you do? What would you do?
Yeah.
It's like, well, it's mommy. I say, how do you know it's mommy?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I try to reenact and do different fun things. And that's pretty much what I bring into some of the workshops that I do at the schools as well.
And I was just about to segue into that Don't Snooze on Clues is not just a book.
No?
Okay, so tell us a little bit about Don't Snooze on Clues, the conglomerate, the empire. See, I'm putting words on there because we know where this is going. So tell us a little bit about Don't Snooze on Clues, the company.
Okay, so Don't Snooze on Clues, the book, discusses anti-bullying. It discusses, it's giving the children the tools, what to do if this arrives. Who do you tell? It has a repetitive phrase in there that you tell a parent, teacher, or police officer, because we want the children to know what to do. Apparently, the book reaches only a certain amount of people who purchase it, people who are aware that they have it online on Amazon. So I wanted to reach more kids. And I'm surrounded by educators, and they all mentioned, do you have a program that you can come into the school and share with more? You have a larger group, an assembly where you can talk to all of the kids. And that kind of birthed Don't Snooze on Clues, the organization, that we go into schools, into elementary and middle schools, and provide anti-bullying and internet safety workshops for the children that are in those schools.
Now, in the society that we're living in, where they're told, tell someone, if you see something, say something. But most young people, when they hear that or see that, the first thing they say, I don't want to be no snitch. I don't want to be no. I'm gonna mind my business. My mother told me mind my business.
Right.
So how do you combat that negativity, that thing that's put in our head, saying that if you say something, you're a snitch, or you stitches get stitches and all that kind of stuff, or you're a rat?
Yep.
How I know that's difficult. How do you go about trying to differentiate?
Right. Well, when we go into the schools, believe it or not, that whole snitching thing, it's very prevalent. And I was really surprised when I started doing it that kids in elementary school, I'm talking about kindergarten, first grade, were saying that phrase of snitches get stitches. And so what we do is that we try to bring back the whole notion of your brother's keeper, right? And we differentiate what is a snitch in comparison to what we're telling you to do, which is report something that's happening. Like in the book, in the workshops, we don't ever tell the child to get involved. But what we do tell them is try to get help. So you should not stand there we live in a world where everyone pulls out a phone if something is happening, right? So we try to eliminate that by telling them, listen, you have to go get help. If it was you, we flip the scenario. If it was you, if it was a family member, I did this exercise one time where I had them close their eyes and imagine their mom walking down the street, and this person approached them and started, like, hitting and smacking their mom. And everyone was like, whoa, whoa. And I'm
Yeah.
just like, okay, so how would you feel? How would you feel about that? Because that's someone you love. And it's the same way that the person who's being bullied or the person who's being exposed on different internet, resources, this is how they feel. So we
Yes.
try to bring back that whole notion of being your brother's keeper. Just say something. Just go find. There's different ways. We also tell them that there's different ways of reporting. You don't always have to be there physically.
Yes.
There's nonverbal ways that you can actually go, and whether it be sending text. Some of the schools have like this text hotline now, and so we give them different ways that they can actually report, and we try to debunk that whole snitching thing, so that way they understand that when you're snitching, you're trying to get someone in trouble, but you
Exactly.
see someone that needs help. What are you going to do?
Exactly.
Is that really snitching?
Yeah.
So we try to debunk that.
Okay. What, who would you say inspires your drive?
Who inspires my drive? My children. I say my children because I feel like my audience are children. And so I can get inspired to educate, inspire, empower children by watching my own children, the things they go through. There's this saying that the thing that you're fighting for the most is the thing that you're going to be attacked with. And there were many a times that everything that I'm teaching to children, it's happening to me in my own life with my children. I talk to kids about being safe and, being abducted. In the book, they talk about if you see someone being pulled into a car, what do you do? And here it is that my son experienced something like that, where someone tried to abduct him on his way to school. So that's my inspiration, is the fact that it hits home. And I feel like if I have to educate my own children, this is happening on a larger scale. So I have to actually go out there and try to educate more kids, because I don't think a lot of parents realize how much pressure and how much is out there that their kids are exposed to. It's not just the regular bullying and stuff like that in schools. There's so much more.
Okay.
Yeah.
What advice would you give a young person who is experiencing constant bullying on an everyday basis, and that they feel that no one is hearing them, no one is listening, no one even cares? So, because just recently we just heard someone just the other day in New Jersey, actually, in one of the schools there, they committed suicide because of the bullying. What can you tell a child that's going through that? What can you tell them to do?
Right. A lot of times I try to tell them to find an advocate. There is always one person that they can actually go and talk to. And so that person can help get help for them, right? Help them to get help. A lot of times with children who are being bullied, when I go into the schools, I hear this phrase a lot. Well, we tell the teachers and they do nothing about it. They just say, okay, well, go sit down. One of the things that we do in my organization is that we don't just have workshops for the children. We also teach the teachers. We have these lunchtime lunch and learns where we tell the teachers exactly what we're doing or what we're telling the children to do. So that way, when the kids come to them, they're totally aware that this is the process that Don't Snooze, Don't Clues told them. We also talk to the parents and say, look, these are the things. So we're creating a community around these children. And so if the kids don't feel like they have someone to speak to them or to even share the information, I would say go tell a friend. Tell a friend that can help walk you through. Tell an adult, any adult around you, parents, whether it be an aunt or uncle, whether it be a guidance counselor, but share what's happening with you with someone else so that they can actually help you.
Where do you see Don't Snooze on Clues 5 years
Oh my gosh.
down the line? Where do you just see not only just you as an author, or you having an MBA, where do you want to take this? Where do you see this going?
Well, don't snooze on clues. I see this going very far because I feel like there's so much ground to cover. We're in the works right now of creating a discovery camp, the Don't Snooze on Clues discovery camp. And I feel like children need to not only learn about themselves, but discover the world around them. I feel like they're limited in what they see and what they're exposed to just within their boroughs. And there's so much more out there. I want to be able to expand their horizon. And if we discuss financial literacy, let's go on the stock exchange floor and let's talk to the people and find out how we can trade some stocks.
Yes.
Like, I feel like our kids are very limited. So I want to be able to expose them to more than just coloring over the summer. But I just feel like Don't Snooze on Clues has a lot of ground to cover. I want to be able to reach more children, not just in the books, not just through the workshops, not just through the camp, but just through cartoons, through everything. You know, there's so much that kids are exposed to, especially online, and we want to be able to hit them every which way that they turn, not just in your school. I'm in your face on a book. I'm in your face online. I'm going to hit you, and you're going to understand and know the process of getting help
Yes. Yes.
by whichever means necessary.
Yes. Yes. Well, just the other day, you were honored, and I had the privilege of being there as you were honored by State Senator Leroy Comrie of Jamaica, Queens. Could you tell us a little bit about that event?
Well, that event was, I didn't even know, that was an honor because they were honoring authors for Mother's Day month. And I had the honor of being honored there. And I actually received a proclamation, which was totally not anything that I expected.
Yeah.
So it was really a great honor to be recognized for what I'm trying to accomplish in the community and see that others are supporting me. So that was amazing.
Yes. And prior to that, I mean, you've been on this thing. Prior to that, you were in Phoenix receiving your MBA. What did you get an MBA in?
And just business administration. I mean, that was a journey in and of itself because running a business, being a mom, just doing everything at the same time and trying to get an MBA is just like, whew, okay, I had to take off that Superwoman cape for a minute and take a breather, but I completed, and I'm really excited that now I'm an MBA holder.
Yeah, that's what MBA means. I said, what did you have an MBA in?
No, they have specializations, but I just decided to stay straight business and keep it general.
Okay,
yes.
okay. So now we're going to get a little personal.
Uh-oh.
You are such an inspiration in your everyday life, in your business. You have many people who look up to you. I look up to you. I am honored that that I am actually in that circle. Because I remember, what was it, about 6 years ago when I saw you, and I just looked at you. I said, you and I going to work together. And you kept running from me ever since I said that. And we ended up working together.
Yeah.
What advice would you give, let's say, a single mom? What advice would you give a single mom raising her kids, wanting to be independent, wanting to be that entrepreneur, want to be that boss, like everybody's saying now, want to be a boss, but what advice would you give them? Right. The most important thing that you can say that you have learned, and you can give to someone else who wants to take the same steps that you have gone into, being an author, being a...
Wow. I would say the most major one is be patient. I am that person that things have to happen. And I mean, we're living in a society where it's a microwave generation is what we like to call it, because they feel like everything should come instantaneous, like just like you can order food online, you can, everything, there's an app for everything, right?
There's an app for it.
But the thing is that a lot of times I think we underestimate the time things take. Everything takes time. And I am one that if I come up with an idea, within 24 hours, I feel like I have a website, business cards, this, that, the other, and I feel like, okay, where are the people? What's going on? I put it out there. What's going, like I feel like I rush the process. But Don't Snooze on Clues is just, Don't Snooze on Clues is probably my fourth, if not fifth, business adventure, right? So I feel like the other four, failed, but I learned something from all four to help me to get Don't Snooze on Clues off and running. And so be patient with yourself. And that's something that I was not, because I'm just kind of like, am I not good enough?
Yeah.
What's going on? I feel like other people have what I'm looking for, but yet whenever I go around them, I see that, wait a minute, I possess not only what they have, but sometimes more. And so I shortchange myself a lot. So as moms, you know, we're always at the back of the line. It's everyone else before us. And so for the single mom who's just trying to be that boss, I would say be patient with yourself. Every day, take one step towards whatever it is that you're looking to do. And eventually, it will all come together. Yeah.
So, tell us, how can the people get in touch with you? How can they get this awesome book? Tell us, just give us all your info. We got to find you. Gotta find you.
Well, the book is available on Amazon, so you can log on Amazon.com and put in the search box, Don't Snooze on Clues, and you'll be able to find me. It's also available in Spanish, so habla español. But if you would like to just get in contact, whether it be the book or for the workshops, you can go on don'tsnoozenonclues.com, where you'll be able to find the book. You'll be able to order services. Whether you'd like us to come to your school, you can email us. You can find me at Keba at don'tsnoozenonclues.com. We're also on Facebook and Instagram, Don't Snooze on Clues. So we're all over on all social media, but it's all the same name, don'tsnoozenonclues.com.
Okay. And so, as we end our interview, our conversation, I should say, no interview. Can you share with us an inspiring word that you might have been told or someone has said to you, or that you can share with someone who is in the midst of their mess and on their way to making it into a message, whether they're at the beginning part, the middle part, or the end? What message would you like to give them?
I would like to give that person the message of what is for you, and it will all come together. Whether you see it or not, whether it looks like it or not, every day, step by step, and it will all come together.
Well, you know what? Before we go, is there anything I didn't touch on that you would like to tell the people, that you would like to share a little bit more about you, and whether your career or your journey as an author or your journey as, you know, going through this whole education thing, because everybody's trying to advance themselves. Is there anything you'd like to share in closing?
No, I think you pretty much, I think I hit it all on the head, but it's just really to inspire people and empower them to just, you know, move on with whatever it is that you want to do in life. Life is short, and the more we put off things is the less that we accomplish. So just put your first foot forward and keep moving.
Yes. Well, we thank you so much for joining us today on From Mess to Message. And we encourage you to keep moving. And remember, always lead with love, because love always wins. Good day.